Hey guys, hopefully you can't hear the fan going in the background. I have the window open too. It's really hot tonight. It's after midnight. It's actually after 1 o'clock in the morning. And I can't sleep. Now I'm going to give you an editorial. So if you want to get to the editorial, you can just fast forward. But don't tune out. Don't tune away yet because I'm giving you guys an editorial. You're watching it in the morning, of course. But for me right now, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And I have an internal conflict going in my conscience, and in my heart, and in my body, and I can't, I slept all day today too. It's Sunday, so it was Sunday, so I slept all day, and that's not a good thing to do now. You can't sleep Sunday night, but it's not that I can't sleep. Only I'm laying here, and what's going through my mind is corruption, police. Excessive use of force, conflict between the police and the community, and that bridge that we wanted to build, that bridge of communication. I don't know that we're ever going to build a bridge of communication with law enforcement. We might build a bridge with particular officers that we can talk to and that we can communicate with. But as a whole, law enforcement, we will never be able to build a bridge of communication with law enforcement as a whole as long as there are law enforcement officers out there that just continue to say, I'm a cop, I have a badge, I have authority, you do what I say, or I'm going to be on your ass like glue. And there's no particular incident that happened that's caused me to do it. It's just nationwide. I've got 5 editorials right now to do. One of them I'm going to give to you right now, and it's one that somebody emailed me. I've got somebody emailing me editorials and news stories, and look, I'm doing them as I come across them. I've got another one that you sent me that I am going to do. Also, you'll probably see it later today, actually, but it's just like, and people may ask, why law enforcement officers? Why not, any other profession? Other professions have corruption. Yeah, every single occupation and walk of life has this problem. Every one of them. The reason I'm stuck on law enforcement is because I grew up dreaming of being a cop. I wanted to be a cop. It's all I ever wanted to be was a cop. When I was growing up, just like a lot of little kids, you grow up and you go, I want to be a cop someday and have a badge and it'd be cool. And then you learn what a lot of cops are really like. They're assholes. Of course, I knew that. When I grew up in Fontana, California, most of the cops in Fontana, California were pricks. Most of them didn't pay me any attention. Most of them didn't talk to me unless they were in your classroom doing a presentation. They would talk to you, but out on the street, you go up to talk to them and they would just wave you off. So I started to kind of, my fascination with police kind of started to fade, but not really. And as I grew older, I went in the military, I went in the Army, still wanted to be a cop. But you see, to answer the question that I posed about myself, why am I chosen the profession of law enforcement to be an activist and to hold accountable? Because they're the ones who are the leaders of accountability per se. They're the ones who enforce broken laws. They're the ones who are out there to make sure criminals are caught, to make sure the standards are set for our community, for our communities. They're the ones who are upholding that banner of living safe, living free, protect and serve. But yet we're seeing so many law enforcement officers who are doing just the opposite. They're bullies. They're pushing their authority to where it's not meant to go. They're coming down on law-abiding citizens who are just standing around and just getting in their faces, using their flashlights to blind people just because they can. And so this desire to be supportive of law enforcement and to want to support law enforcement and like law enforcement officers, is conflicting with my disdain for bullies and those who are unprofessional and unethical and those who are abusing their authority that they've gotten in that badge. Basically, the moral of the story is I'm having it's kind of an inner conflict of I want to support law enforcement. I want to make sure, I like cops still, but there's so many bad ones out there. You don't really know what's going to happen when you roll up with your camera. You could have a flashlight in your face. You could have a cop screaming at you to back up when you're already far enough back. You could be threatened with arrest. You could be threatened to be shot or tased. So I don't know. I guess I'm searching for an answer is I guess what I'm doing. I can't sleep tonight. And it's not that I slept all day, so now I'm not sleepy. It's what's going through my head right now is law enforcement, corruption. I started looking on Google. I came up with, I already had one a story that someone emailed me, and then, I had two because I had the other one I'm doing right now. But then I had other ones that I found on Google, so now I have a total of 5. I'm going to give you one now, and then 4 more I got left to give you, plus whatever I find as I keep looking on Google. I guess what I'm saying, it's come to the point now where I'm going to have an endless string of editorials. Like I can't do one every morning anymore. I got to do 2, maybe 3 a day, and then do them on the weekends, and then, do some at night. And then there's so many editorials coming my way. What is going on with law enforcement that all of a sudden, and people say, why don't you do stories on the good cops? I have before. Why don't you do stories on the drug dealers and the this and that? Because drug dealers and meth heads and rapists and all of them, no, I don't condone crime. I don't condone that. I don't support it. I don't advocate it. But they didn't raise their hand and say, I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California and so help me God. They didn't take that oath. They're just out there scumbags committing crimes. I get it. I'm talking about the rapists and the thieves and people that snatch old ladies' purses. No, they're shitbags. But I don't do stories on them because we already know they're shitbirds and they're going to get caught. I do stories on the cops that are corrupt because they're worse than the criminals. They're worse than the criminals because they took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of California, and they're committing crimes against the very people they swore to protect and serve and defend. They're worse than criminals. Criminals didn't take an oath. They're just fucking scumbags. These cops, they're worse because they took an oath. I don't know. Some Zen Buddhistic philosophy that may make sense. Am I even making sense? I told you I can't sleep. It's just there's so much rattling around up here and there's not a lot of space. So it's banging around in my brain as little as it is, as small as it is. Let's get to the editorial and then thank you guys for watching. Comes to us that was French. Comes to us from kvue.com. Thank you, KVUE ABC, for this story. Jeremy Noah Terry Costley, 23, was tased by a San Marcos Police Department officer as police were attempting to disperse a party on Halloween night in San Marcos. The city of San Marcos said in a release that officers responded to a business alarm at Copper Beach Apartments on Mill Street in Texas. They said officers saw a large party at the complex's clubhouse, and the property manager told the officers that no one had permission to be in the clubhouse. The city said Costley started to move the party back into the clubhouse despite the management's request for them to leave. The city said that as the first officer tried to go into the clubhouse, Costley shut the door and pushed him. According to the city, officers then attempted to detain Costley, and they said that an officer sustained a laceration on his right forearm. A second officer drew her taser at this point and ordered Costley to get on his knees, according to the city. Costley complied and put his hands on his head. The city said that when the first officer attempted to detain him, Costley pulled both his hands down by his waist, locked his arms, and said no. The arresting officer moved away from Costley and told the backing officer to tase him. I'm going to come back to that. In the tasing officer's body cam footage, Costley is seen pulling his hands down toward himself away from the officers, but moves them back up above his head shortly after. Costley's hands are behind his head both when the officer said tase him and when the other officer complied. As Costley is being walked away by officers, other partygoers can be heard crying, and Costley can be heard apologizing to the arresting officer, saying, quote, "I understand and I'm so sorry. I'm apologizing." Video of the incident was posted to Twitter by another partygoer. The city said in this video does not show the complete incident. Police issued a press release where they said in the statement, the interim chief of police and commanding officers have reviewed the complete footage of the incident and support the actions of the officers involved as they successfully handled the de-escalation of the situation with minimal use of force and by following training protocol. Online records indicate Costley was charged with felony assault on a peace officer. He bonded out Friday morning. That was back in 2019, of course. This story is from November of 2019, and it was a Halloween party that the actual incident happened at. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to post a link to this story in the description box below. And I'm going to post the YouTube video below that in the description box. So you can read the story. There's a video of the story, but I think it's KVUE's news story. But then the video is also there. You can go to YouTube and watch the video. This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. I almost have to side with the cops on this one. And I'm probably going to get some criticisms. But look, guys, you can disagree with me. And we'll discuss it. Okay, if you start going, you goddamn bootlicker, you shine that cop's boots, I'm just going to give you a smart ass reply. Okay, I'm not even going to talk to you. Some people get so mad at me. Like, why can't you? Do I have any adult? I do. I'm not even going to ask that question. I do have, though, a lot of very smart subscribers and watchers and viewers that are able to have discussions with me on an adult level with this, and we disagree. Sometimes when people say stuff in disagreement with me, though, sometimes I go, you know what, that's a good point. Good point. And I agree with you. So you may win me over. But when you come on here screaming, you goddamn bootlicker, I'm going to be like, you know what, whatever, dude. Like the one guy that told me, commented on one of my videos, he goes, you need to do something better with your life. And it was on an editorial where I was talking about a cop that lied on a police report. Yeah, I need to do something better with my life because exposing corrupt cops is a waste of life. What? Anyway, so the reason I'm saying all of that is that I'm going to have to side with the cops on this one for a couple of reasons. I watched the video 4 times on YouTube, and I kept watching it, and I kept watching it, and I kept listening. And I'm going to have to side with the cops on this one because, first of all, you can see at the very beginning of the video, there's a lot of shit going on, but you can see if you really watch closely him trying to get back in and close the clubhouse door, and the cops are trying to get in there, and they pull him back out. So he tried to shut the door on the cops. But then you see as they walk him out, they get him down, he's got his hands up. The cop goes to grab his wrist so he can place him in handcuffs, and you see him go, no. Like, you're not arresting me. And the cop steps back. He goes, get your hands behind your back. He does this, not this. He does this. Now, the cop has already went to get his hand, and he did it calmly to get his hand, and he pulled him down and stiffened up and said, no. So then he does this. Do you think the cop is going to go a second time and try to grab his wrist? So the cop says, tase him. I think that's a good call. That was a good call because the guy, he should have just went, oh, you want my hands behind my back? There you go. Yeah. It's what he should have did. Because you do see him trying to slam the door on the cops. Now, if the clubhouse manager wanted them out of there, they were being trespassed from the clubhouse. They can do that here in my mobile home park too. They can trespass you from the clubhouse. They can say the clubhouse is closed. So if he tried to go back in there and shut the door on the cops, he's at that point unlawfully resisting them. That in California would be a violation of 148A, resisting or delaying or obstructing a peace officer of their duty, because their duty was to pull him outside and say, you guys cannot go back in that clubhouse. But he tried to get back in there. Then when they tried to arrest him, they tried to grab his hands to handcuff him. They probably would have let him go if he was cool. He stiffens up and you see him going, no, no. So yeah, you're going to get tased at that point. That's just how it is, guys. So I'm going to have to side with the cops on this one. I'll let you guys decide in the comment section below who you're going to side with. Let me know. Sorry this video is so long, but you know me, I'm verbose, man. I talk. I'm going to go to bed. Get some sleep, I think. But someone did send this to me and I watched it, and I wanted to give all of you an opportunity to watch it and draw your own conclusions from the video and from the story. But I explained it a little bit so that if you haven't seen the video yet, when you do go watch it, you know what I've said already in my commentary, and you kind of know what to look for. Right? Maybe? Thanks, guys, for watching Community Leo Watch. I watch Leos. That's law enforcement officers from coast to coast every day.